Hello, everybody. Welcome to the discussion portion of Monogatari Off-Season Monster Season Episode 5. I've had some time. I ate something. So in case my lips are a little bit red, it's probably because I ate some spicy curry. Other than that, I looked through the episode. You better get ready. I made some notes. Let's boom, get it on the screen right here. Your favorite Nadeko pool feed shots. And let's just get started with this, right? We have at 007. I noted down that they were doing some poses. I was like, holy shit. They're just going down the stairs and they're posing all the while. Obviously the peace signs thrown, all of that shit. It's like they're making a photo shoot on top of the fucking stairs. I found that very funny. We do have a little bit of an interesting mention here where Noki was like, I like my avant-garde look to show off my belly button. And I actually looked up the word avant-garde because I know what it means roughly, but I don't know. And I stumbled upon like some very interesting thing. Like apparently within the arts and in literature, the term avant-garde, meaning advanced guard or vanguard, identifies an experimental genre or work of art and the artist who created it, which usually is aesthetically innovative whilst initially being ideologically unacceptable to the artistic establishment of the time. I do wonder what that means in relation to Ononoki's statement about her belly button showing and her new outfit, but I'll leave that to the experts of you here in the comment section. Maybe you can kind of get me in on that very, very, very deep thematic. Also, we did have like that shot in this second here, and I gotta say, like, the moment I saw this, I was like, holy shit, they really match in terms of like how they're dressed up and everything. That like there's a big cohesion in how their outfits are actually coordinated. But the second later, ramen noodle soup. We are changing outfits for Ononoki, and it's absolutely glorious. I do love this outfit. I said it in the reaction video already. I absolutely love this outfit. I also think like it's cool how they always incorporate the Tadatsuru symbol in Ononoki's outfits. They don't just do it on the front here, they also do it on the back. You see it later when they're actually walking to the bookstore. Which is amazing to actually have always this origami paper thing in there to kind of hint at one of her creators, mind you. 1 minute in, we actually do have this likeness. Interestingly enough, I just gotten to the bottom of this when I looked over it again. We are actually talking about how each and every personality of Nadeko is a little bit different, and this relates visually to the ice cream that is on the screen, obviously, since we do have ice cream flavors, different ice cream flavors. They're all different tasting, and also some of them don't mesh very well, so need to be careful how you combine them and put them together in order for them to actually work well. I do also love how we're kind of replicating the chisel from last episode with the ice cream, right? We're actually going into the ice cream and kind of shaving off the outside of it, right? Getting to the bottom of it, kind of weakening warming up the ice, which is kind of in the same vein as the chisel works out the work of art that you're creating with it. It's very cool how we have that parody to last episode. I also find it very interesting how Ononoki says that she is not gonna force Nadeko to do anything if she doesn't want to. And I find that very, very telling, actually, because she says, I don't intend to push you through if this is something you don't want to do. For me, the reason that is interesting is that Ononoki kind of throughout this entire arc has served as almost a guiding guardian to Nadeko. She does not force Nadeko to do anything. She offers advice, she offers her own perspective and observation. She offers solutions for her to a degree, helps her with what she is doing, but she never takes the decision away from her. In that way, Ononoke is granting Nadeko independence, right, and initiative of her own, and she's a very healthy model, actually, for a socially supportive person, right? Somebody who is part of your social support network, who supports you, gives you advice, but never tells you outright what to do or tells you need to do this even if you don't want to. They offer you solutions, they say how they see things, and then they're like, but if you don't want to do that, that's fine. It's up to you. We do have that, like, we do have various theories when it comes to, like, child development and education and how we can, right? There's countless different people who want to have the theory on how to properly teach a child. But a very big technique that is often used is scaffolding, which is that you are helping a child to get to a certain level where they can do things themselves that they want to do, right? Or where you provide children with all of the information or the skills or whatever they need, and then they have to make the decision to actually do it, right? They determine the direction they're going, and you are just the supporting foundation of to make sure that they're not falling from a two-story building, so to speak, metaphorically. Then we have at 222. Tell me if it's getting annoying when I'm actually pointing out like the specific timestamps, but that's making it really easy for me to jump from one point to the next that I've been actually noting down. And I feel like this is the discussion, and we can be a little bit more casual, and I don't need to have like a flow of narrative and whatever is going on. I can just jump from one point to the next, point out what's interesting and what I noted down. I think it was very interesting how Ononoke was talking about how she has measures in place in case Nadeko doesn't decide to go through with it and actually confront this herself and does that. And then we show Nadeko being a little bit insecure, but also like talking to Ononoke, reciprocating all of that. And we see a bridge in the background, and it felt to me like Ononoke left a part unspoken that was like, well, I have stuff in place, but it would probably be best if you do that. If not, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. And I feel like this is exactly what the background is trying to say us in this very moment without spelling it out. That Ononoke's thought is, yeah, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. And I actually have some stuff that I could be doing in case you, what we want to do doesn't work out properly. I think it's very interesting that Ononoke is very solemn looking in the shot of 227 right here, just in a second. Right there. I feel it made me kind of wonder when she's talking to Nadeko, having to be acknowledged, or that she should be acknowledged by Gaen, and that this is their goal, right? That they agreed on in a couple of episodes ago. I wonder how much of this is Gaen herself actually thinking, yeah, we can use Nadeko, and pushing that onto Ononoke, or how much of it is Ononoke motivated by her own wishes and desires, her own emotions, and how much she's just trying to sell that to both Gaen on the one hand and Nadeko on the other side, in order to make sure that the person she has gotten to know, which is Nadeko, and that she has some certain feelings for, in the sense of wanting to wish her well and wanting her to succeed and fulfill her dreams, that she's trying to kind of be the middleman, basically, and just mediate, sell it to Gaen, be like, she can be useful to us, and then selling it to Nadeko, being like, you can be useful to us, and in that way you can fulfill your own desires and dreams and don't have to worry about what the specialists and whatever are going to do. Also, find it very cool that we do have the different ice creams in our metaphor, always in here, of course. And we have 5 ice creams, interestingly enough. We do have the 5 ice creams on the one side, which is very cool. And we do have the ramen noodle cup on the other side. I do feel almost like this is a visual metaphor, right? We have the 5 Nadekos, which is current Nadeko, and the 4 that got created as Shikigami. And then we have the ramen noodle cup that is the goal, right? The goal is to unify them all in one being that is bigger, that is maybe also more savory, more tasty, all of that. Yeah, the advancement of all of that. But that could just be interpreting too much into the visual metaphors, but you never know, right? Shaft is cooking like crazy. Like every 2 seconds you can stop the episode and just look at the shot and you're like, holy shit, this is amazing how that kind of reflects what's going on. It's insane how much time and effort went into each and every one of these shots, and you'll have to think about like how much time it takes to actually cook for one of these episodes. I already like how Nadeko at 2:37 is saying like, okay, I'll do it for you, right? She starts, I'll do it for you. You got me convinced. But then she's like correcting herself and she's saying, no, you know what? I need to do this. I want to do this. Please let me do this. She's rephrasing herself in order to kind of signify that this is not something coming from somebody else being like, all right, you need to do this. And she's like, okay, you got me. I understand. No, this is coming from inside of her. And she feels like, yes, this is something I definitely want and need to do for me to grow. We do have our obligatory Pokemon reference, team battle reference, which is amazing, of course. While Shikigami has appeared. And Ononoki is basically putting it down. She's saying, like, it all depends on you, Nadeko. Your courage, right? Your courage to face yourself. Your courage in a way to accept yourself as well. To understand that these are all parts of yourself and that this is okay. And she's turning it around on her, obviously, because she's an aspiring manga artist, and she says, like, let me put it in manga terms, right? Into adolescent manga terms. Although Monogatari is a light novel, it still feels very meta on a level, because this is what we had with Araragi, right? The adolescence of somebody and going through stuff. And now we have it with Nadeko. The time has finally come for you to overcome your past self and to not only overcome it, but also to integrate it within your current self. We talked about this, though. And we are thinking a little bit about it. She's like, it's been a long time, right? I've been kind of resisting this for a long time, and this is what brought me to these different stages of Nadeko, right? Resisting that part of myself. I find it very interesting that in this shot, we talked a lot about this, so we don't have to talk too much about it, but I find it very interesting how in this shot, we still have Raf Nadeko, despite being bangless and kind of upfront, still having that hair blow in front of her and kind of covering her eyes, which kind of tells me that it's still hiding one eye, right? There's still this, what we talked about in the main episode about where we said, yes, Raf Nadeko is more blunt, she is more honest with her feelings and all of that, but she's also using that to push people away, right? To keep the distance, to keep people at a distance. And then Nadeko says, all of them are me, everything leads up to this current situation. To connect them to myself, right? Connect the red string, find out where's the connective tissue and where can I merge, where can I... And then she's like, I'm done filling my stomach. Done filling my stomach with resolve, maybe, right? Done with courage, with the necessary motivation to go for it. Alright, next one we do have is a little bit of a skip. We do have 556 because we skipped the intro, obviously. And Ononoki is kind of showing in the direction we're going, and we do have a quick shot of Mr. Donut over here. So I wanted to highlight that, point that out. Hey, yay! And she's always pointing in the direction, right? She's just... Maybe it's because of her hand, right? And she's like... But I don't know how that works like a GPS, because she doesn't know where exactly the thing is. So how did they locate there that like the gods make Nadeko. Maybe they just went like, okay, this makes the most sense, right? The bookstore, because this is where she originally looked up the snake stuff. We're on the bookstore parking lot and going through it, explaining a little bit why we thought that is. It's so funny that Odoki just keeps doing the peace signs and whatever. And we did have that, like that. Onodoki's very considerate with Nadeko, which I think is really, really nice. Also, we did have Nishio Isin with a car where there was like a B, like the letter B on the side, and underneath there was Nishio Isin. Now we have A, so I'm not sure what that means. Maybe this is the A plot now, right? And the other one was the B plot so far. Either way, the white cars are hilarious. And we want to go like for kiss shot, and holy shit, mommy. I mean, what? She looks amazing. She like the way the colors there's a shot in, and beautiful how they like the tree with like Kisu Monogatari episode. What was it, 2? Like the end of episode 2, I think it was. Holy fucking shit, Tenketsuen. The tree symbology, and she's hanging upside down, of course, which is also another one of those iron-blooded, hot-blooded, cold-blooded. And she's looking down on you, but she's looking so fucking odd there. And the flower symbolism. The flower symbolism is, I feel like what this evokes to me, like the colors and the flowers and the blood at the end, like the blood splatters, is for me, on the one hand, it's temptation, right? It's beauty and temptation, but it like this is somebody who is beautiful, who is temptuous, who is maybe seductive even, but also somebody who is incredibly dangerous and deadly because of like the blood that we see at the last moments over here. And these quick flashes, just quick flashes that are pointing this out. I think this is absolutely insane how we're just showing that with absolutely gorgeous art. At 701, we do have the reflective shots of them going by the car. You don't even need that shot, right? It's not necessary, but we build it in anyway. And it's amazing. I also find it very interesting how we avoid showing Araragi's name in all of that discussion. Oh, I didn't even peek the Gaen. I didn't even peek the fucking Gaen reference. Holy shit. I mean, I can show that for a second, right? We have, this is a reference to Kiss Shot, obviously. Ki, Su, up there. First hiragana, Ki, then we have Su, then we have Shi, S-H-I, right? And O, which makes Sho, then Tsu, which often is used as like combining a word into like a double letter. Oftentimes it's a T because it's Tsu, and then To, since it's To, T-O, and combined with the Tsu, it's T-T-O. So we have Kisu Shoto. And that is how it's pronounced. And then we go to mentioning Hachikuchi, and this is fucking... I don't even know how to explain this, to be honest, because this is an amazing pun. Let me just put something up here on the screen if I can actually find it, because this is just fucking amazing. Right here, you do see that we do have Kami, which is, interestingly enough, it is the two kanji Ne and Shin combined, which means God, which is read as Kami. And then we do have 894, which is 8 is Hachi, 9 is Q, and 4 is Shi, and it sounds like Hachikuchi. And then we have underneath even another pun, which is like Kami Mamita, which is her like I bit my tongue or whatever, or I stuttered pun, which holy shit, like the levels of word pun in that single fucking frame is insane. Either way though, we're going back to the window capture because I want to go through this. Yeah, we're talking about like Shinobu possibly devouring the rest of the Nadekos. I do think this is not a good thing for Nadeko though. As we have learned in the Hanekawa arcs in the past, this is not a long-term solution. This is just a little band-aid fix that we can do. And it is not the same thing as if Nadeko would be going in there and she would be putting them back into paper and reconciliating with them and finding a way to actually reintegrate them into her new self. So we definitely do not want that if we can. And obviously we're alluding to that, Ononoki being considerate and avoiding that Araragi doesn't have to come here because he has to come here if Shinobi is involved. Which I find it very interesting how we consistently keep Araragi's name and Araragi's face completely out of the story. We never even if we mention him, interestingly enough it happens with Ononoki too, but I think it happens especially when we talk to Nadeko about it. I wonder if it's specific to Nadeko or if it's generally just an avoidance of Araragi altogether, because Araragi is not shown with his clear face when Ononoki talks about him in episode 1 with Tsukihi when she's getting the ice cream, but also neither Araragi's full name nor his face are shown whenever, like, starting at episode 2 when the Nadeko arc actually begins. Even here, we don't see Araragi on the sign. We see Ara, right? I don't know how it's in the Japanese version, but either way, it's not a clear Araragi on the sign. Last time when we actually went to Araragi's house, we had it split. There was the Arara, but then we skipped to the next part of the sign. It wasn't in one frame. And then we had the Gi. So this was also not Araragi in there, right? The full name. I think it's very interesting, and it might mean something that we don't show his full name and we don't show his full face, just the Ahoge. We don't show his full face in the entire arc so far. We just mention him and skirt the issue all the time. And Nadeko obviously being peeved about herself, kind of, that she has to be kind of considered like that, right? That she has to be catered to like that, but she is like very thankful that Ononoki actually avoided this happening. It's also very interesting how she calls her Nadeko, and Nadeko doesn't like that. I actually did my research and I looked it up. So we do have the kanji, if I can actually pull those up. Yeah, over here. These two kanjis, I researched them, and I do know that the first part of the kanji is actually Nade, which translates to petting, caressing, something along those lines. We had that the last time already, but Ko is the second one, and Ko in this specific case means public, open, companion, subordinate. It also means a couple of other things, but what came out when I actually typed them in, both of them in on like Google Translate and whatnot, was consort, kind of, right? Like a consort to somebody. Which I find very interesting, right? Because it kind of makes sense to a degree. A consort is also somebody like, I think it is something like a concubine, right? If I'm not wrong. That could be like a kind of on-the-nose pun of Ononoki regarding like Araragi and all of the stuff that happened with Nadeko and Araragi. At least from Nadeko's perspective, because obviously from Araragi's perspective, there was never anything that really happened, right? And that he really felt in that regard, but from Nadeko's perspective, that is obviously kind of almost like teasing her, I feel. And it would make sense why she doesn't like to be called that way. And also I did hear that this is also how you call somebody in an overly familiar way. So that could be a double layer of that as well. Either way, it makes sense in terms of like petting, caressing, and public, open, companion, whatever, right? But it also makes sense in the sense of like that she's being too familiar with her to a degree. Although I think that would be kind of weird for me, because I feel like Nadeko has come to like Ononoki a lot, so she would probably be okay with being called in an overly familiar way. Yeah. Also, we make a quick reference of Ononoki's future being in jeopardy if this turns out badly, and that's true. That's fucking true. Like, Ononoki would be the one who is responsible for it, right? She is the agent of Gaen here, of the specialist. She's the one who's supposed to keep the order and make sure that nothing crazy happens. So if this goes wrong and some serious shit happens, this is on her, which... Right now that they're friends, Nadeko feels for that. She is like, all right, I want to make sure that Ononoki isn't in trouble after all of that is done. And I do 100% understand that, of course. I think the directing here is immaculate. Just the sheer amount of like through the bookshelf kind of imagery that we have here makes it seem like they're being observed in secret, right? They are being preyed upon, and it does establish this whole stealthy, sneaky feeling, this atmosphere where it makes you feel cautious about every corner and kind of just looking out, and it makes you almost jumpy to a degree. Also, 858, I had noted that down. I do absolutely love how they drew Ononoki's head. This is still fascinating me. I'm sorry, right? You all motherfuckers being crazy about feet. I'm being crazy about those hands. Get on my fucking level. Opposable thumbs, bitches. Yeah, but yeah, this is so amazingly drawn. Like I have rarely seen something drawn that way, and that's just really cool. Something visually new is always visually interesting for you, right? It grips your attention. So funny, it literally reads Monogatari on all of these bookshelves, which is I can't with all of these Easter eggs and puns and whatever is gonna happen here. That it's just insane. Monogatari, mind you, is a very old word for story, so they don't have to actually use it necessarily. I don't know what is most frequently used in Japan, maybe you can let me know. But as far as I know, you can also just use the English word story, because at this point it's almost just merged into the Japanese language. But I'm sure there is like a simpler word for Monogatari that is not as old as Monogatari, but not as like foreign as the English word story. I also love how we display like the different Nadekos as different light novel volumes. So, I mean, it makes sense, right? There's different periods of her time, technically, that they represent. Different aspects of her, different stories of her. So it makes perfect sense. 1003 is the next one, where we do have like or cool Nadeko, which I don't know how the translation is on that. I actually didn't look it up, so maybe if one of you knows what the exact pun here is, but I guess it's right. We wanted to start with cool Nadeko and we went to Jewel Nadeko because for Bloomer Nadeko we just dropped the B and said Loomer Nadeko, which I guess partially translates in how we do the kanji and katakana and whatever we use here. So I guess it makes sense to a degree. I also think like it's very interesting that Nadeko is thinking of Meek Nadeko to be swayed more easily. And I'm wondering, are you sure about that? Right? Like I'm not quite sure that is true. Maybe on the surface level it might seem that way, but I've always had the feeling that Meek Nadeko actually managed to get her will and get by and let or make things, or not make things, but let things happen the way she wants them to happen by being this avoidant and by being the way she is, right? Projecting that meek and easily malleable surface to the outside. But I do not feel like this reflects the fact that she is easily to be pushed around. I might be wrong though. I might just be plain wrong, and what she's saying right here is true. The only reason why I feel like, or one of the main reasons why I feel like what I am thinking, what I've thought before as well, might have some credence to it, is that in this moment, current Nadeko is thinking about this, then a second later she's like, something feels weird. And yes, this could be just because like this is a trap and whatever, right? But I think it can also be beyond that, just that Nadeko is not as easy to, like, Meek Nadeko is not as easy to push around as current Nadeko might conceptualize her. And all of these things, she gets the chisel stolen. Maybe she didn't want the chisel. Maybe she couldn't do anything with it. She gets the clothes stolen. She's like, well, maybe, right? The swimsuit was actually one of the staples of Meek Nadeko, and she kind of just went for it when they went for, like, when it was like she made the decision to actually wear it when the Nadeko Snake stuff was happening, when Kanbaru and Araragi were like, right? The meme, the fucking meme. And as she's saying later, this is kind of an epiphany that she had, where she was like, did she want to avoid this? Right? Because she was saying, like, all of these things that I was discovered by Araki, Kanbaru, whatever, and that I was saved and rescued. She was, first of all, she was like, maybe if I had been there at a different day, I wouldn't have been rescued and I would have died. And then she's like, nah, maybe it was unavoidable that I would be discovered eventually. And then she's like, unavoidable? Wait, did I want to avoid this? I was happy about it, right? So I do wonder, I said in the main episode that I think she wanted this to happen, right? But it could also be taken just the opposite way, right? That we are assuming she wanted this to happen, but in reality, Meek Nadeko's wish was that it was not gonna happen, right? That she wanted to avoid being discovered and actually just wanted to low-key die, right? Or just suffer from that herself, or something along those lines, right? There could be a meaning in there, because you can take this both ways. This like, hey, did I want to avoid it or not? She's just asking herself that. She's not confirming that she did want to avoid it. She's not confirming that she actually did not want to avoid it and was happy that it happened. I mean, she's saying that she was happy that it happened, but she's kind of questioning that whole thing. So it's very curious. I love that shot of reflection when Nadeko, right, when Nadeko's eyes meet Meek Nadeko's figure. And I think that's very interesting because we again have a visual metaphor, right? Reflecting on oneself, reflecting on yourself, reflecting on your past self, reflecting on your aspects of your current self. This is what she's doing right now, and this is what's being shown right here in a show don't tell manner, which is absolutely amazing. Yeah, just the visual metaphors is insane, like them taking out the saturation when Nadeko actually has this thought, right? This like, wait, if the time is just the slightest bit off, I could have been like, I could have died. Did I want to avoid it? Whatever, right? And we're flashing kind of back in her thoughts, where she was like, I'm reminiscing on that stuff, and the entire saturation leaves or almost the entire saturation leaves the room. Which is, they don't have to do that, but it enhances the experience viewing so much. It makes it so much easier for people to understand the subtitles they're reading or understand the audio that is being spoken. It enhances the experience and enhances the understanding of how we are supposed to take a scene. Which is one of the most important things of just providing visuals to a scene, in my opinion. Oh, holy shit, this statement. 1220, actually. That is the main statement. Remember, people, books can kill. You saw it right here. But beyond that, there's this statement of like, when I die, I want to die like this. And she's musing about the fact that technically you can't really choose how to die, even in the case of like, you know what I mean, right? The act of trying to make it happen. Even in this case, it's not necessarily always that way that you choose how to die. So she's saying, like, you can't really choose it. It's more like a process of elimination, right? And increasing the probability you die a certain way. But in her opinion, that's the reason why you're supposed to choose how to live. Choose how to live. And this is what kicks her whole thing off about having more fights with everyone, but also being more friendly to them. That's why people should be choosing how to live, and that is preach. Holy shit. That is such a big and impactful statement. People choose how to live, because most likely, if you choose how to live the way you live, you probably oftentimes also die. Because what defines how you die, right? Does define how you die, like the definition of how you die, is that what you've done in life, or is it what happens the very moment that you die? Because for all intents and purposes, that is a couple of seconds or minutes that are in no way even proportionate to the amount of time you spend on this earth. So I think this is a very important realization that she came to. Decide how you want to live, because this is most likely how people remember you, right? And then people might remember you for dying of like old age, or dying because like some weird piano dropped on you, like in an 80s cartoon or something. But but in the end, they'll remember you by how you lived. And the majority of the time you spend on this earth is living and not the moment you die. So it shouldn't be the thing that defines how you live. So trying to control how you die, which is in of itself like a kind of a fight against windmills, so to speak, right? So a Don Quixote kind of deal. Just spend the time thinking about what you want to do in life. And I think that is very, very important. I think that is the first step that Nadeko actually had taken originally, as she was like making her way into that manga artist thing. She just didn't do it for every portion of her life, right? For example, school. She didn't do it for school. So this is ways she can enhance. And she's kind of like life flashing before her eyes. I do love the little chibi Nadekos. It's just fucking adorable as fuck. And we're going into being rescued. She's like, Are, what happened? And we have flirty Nadeko. And I think this is a very, very impactful moment. She's saying like about how she's desperately trying to make an effort and that it's not being cool. Which kind of makes me flash back to the Nadeko Medusa Kaiki conversations about it being embarrassing and all of that. Making an effort is embarrassing, right? Being human is embarrassing. But she still does it, right? That kind of symbolizes for me that she does it to save herself. And that is the best part of the metaphor, because we are saving ourselves right here. One part of Nadeko is saving the other part of Nadeko. And what makes it so absolutely beautiful is that by saving herself, she's going beyond the superficial feelings of embarrassment, proving that this part of her that is all about superficiality, about how she appears, about how she adheres to other people, is still at the same time has some core of self-preservation instinct, some core of love for herself, beyond just putting a mask out there for people to love. This is herself, and she wants to protect that part of herself. Which kind of proves to me that all of the Shikigami want to protect, as Ononoki later says, we're coming back to that, their master. And in this specific case, it makes perfect sense because you want to protect yourself. You do have that instinct beyond all of that, right? And all of these like weird things that are maybe maladaptive behaviors or whatever that are happening here, there are kind of a representation of us trying to find ways to protect ourselves, protect our feelings, protect us from stress, protect us from harm, from danger, from all of these things. Big, like Raph Nadeko wanted to protect us from pain and exhaustion. Flirty Nadeko here wanted to protect us from the social repercussions of our actions. And she says, maybe I saved you because I was irritated. Irritated about what? About how brightly you shone? About how hard you're trying, right? Because deep inside, you do have that in the back of your mind, like Ogi said. You want to do that too. You want to be part of that. You want to be part of that unit, that cohesive unit that is going, right? That is trying to fulfill their dreams. And she's saying like kind of to... This is one of the most beautiful moments of the episode, where we do have like both of them being like, yeah, I'm not perfect, I apologize, I messed up. Both of them are saying that, and she's saying, draw me cuter next time, which I find very much logical in a way. Draw me cuter next time, for me that means keep developing your sense of fashion, keep having social relations and behavior, and improve there as well. Keep drawing a better version of that part of yourself, right? Social Nadeko. Keep drawing up new and new versions, cuter versions, better looking versions, better fashion sense, better social skills, all of these things. Keep drawing a better version of me, a cuter version of me, a matching version of me. She's saying all of these things in a way, right? Matching shoes to the outfit and all of that. She's saying that. She's like, keep me as a part of yourself and keep improving my part. The part that I represent. Which is like, I mean, holy shit, dude. Shit, that is so... And 1508, the shot. I just passed it. That feels so Ogi. That feels so fucking Ogi. It's not even funny. It feels immensely Ogi. And we have this beautiful, beautiful drawn, like, manga kind of... right pencil and... Like, I don't know how you call that, like, those color pencil kind of drawing style. Both of them. And she looks so young as, like... Flirty Nadeko. She looks so fucking young in this shot. Like, that is her past version, her past self, and this is Nadeko actually accepting, fully 100% accepting, the first instance of her 100% accepting the past version of herself, and at the same time, this part of herself that remains within herself, that represents all of these feelings and emotions and wishes. And it is an amazing scene, amazingly done, and we ended with going over from the imagery into her giving herself that promise, being like, I promise myself that this is what I'm gonna do. And then chaos. The fucking calamity, as it was shown in her eye. Yeah. Insane. This is kind of like a you help yourself kind of type beat, right? Nobody helps, right? People can support you, but they're not gonna help you out of something. You're gonna help yourself, and in this case, it's literally these parts of yourself that are gonna help you become the person you want to become a better person, have a new outlook on life. Because this is like the culmination of this arc so far. And Ononoki mentions that, like, the part of, like, long cherished desire of a Shikigami to protect its master. I do wonder what that means for Ononoki, right? With, whatchamacall her. You know who I mean. And Tadatsuru. Because those two are our main masters. Obviously, Gan, like, Itsuku was also involved in creating her. Do wonder how that compartmentalized, because we never really, because she even killed Tadatsuru, right, in that crucial moment. And I guess that must have meant that she went straight up against her most cherished desire in this specific case, because she accepts them both, right? She accepts them both as their masters, as their creators. Very funny that God Nadeko is actually on the second floor, which is the floor where children's books and comics are, kind of referring to her, even if it's self-imposed innocence, right? Her cat's cradle, the whole thing about, like, the children's games and whatever. And we mentioned, like, responsibility, Nadeko being like, I don't know if I can carry this responsibility of having, like, destroyed all of that shit. It's such, be able to handle I don't think I'll be able to handle responsibility. I think that is the third time that we mentioned this, where Nadeko reflects, right, has inner monologue where she's like, this is a lot of responsibility, I don't know if I can handle it. She's like at the brink, this is a personal crisis. Obviously it is, but this reinforces that feeling of, like, she continuously struggles to attribute herself the ability and the capacity to overcome this and bear the responsibilities of her actions. The interesting thing about this is actually Ononoki keeps pushing the responsibility onto her. Whenever she's saying that or thinking that or doing that, Ononoki is like, you take responsibility, and reframes it in a positive manner. Is like when you're reached your dream, you do something good for them, right? You hold an autograph session in their library or whatever. You make it up to them. It's like she rephrases it into something that that Nadeko can incorporate into her own motivational core, right? Her motivational base that she uses in order to propel herself forward. Which is a very, very important tool if you want to do anything or achieve anything. Doing that with yourself, right? Motivating yourself. Keeping all these effort, all the negative things as well, putting them into a frame where you can make them, put them to use for your goals, but also as a supporting person to be there and actually do that for somebody if they can't do it for themselves. 1820, where he's like, not a lot to say about like the 100 Lunar Nadekos, like god powers go brrr. That's just how it goes. Also, this next shot in 19.2, I'm getting a I'm getting such a frame-gasm whenever I watch Monogatari. It's so insane how every other frame is straight up fire. Look at that. Look at this shit. Look at this fucking shit. Yeah, also to mention, we said like the swimsuit Nadeko is done for, right? I'm kind of like, what? Is she? Because Shikigami normally don't die, right? Shikigami don't die. Are we just forgetting that, or is there something like I am not getting? Because actually Ononoki should know that. Shikigami don't die. I doubt this is the last we see of Meek Nadeko. Like of actual swimsuit Meek Nadeko. Original Meek Nadeko. I mean, it might be, right? But it feels to me like there's so much that is unexplored when it comes to Meek Nadeko. So much stuff that is not concluded, that we didn't go further into, that is not at all thought out, and we didn't even have a moment where she actually put her in the paper and then later on maybe talk to her again and kind of reconceptualized her into herself. So that can't be the last of Meek Nadeko. I refuse to believe that with somebody like Nisio Ise. We have the games aisle section with with all of these game references, and I'm like, stop, fucking Shaft, stop. We have the Renai circulation. We have something that kind of just looks like the thing that we see at the end of the current OP, Caramel Ribbon Custard. We do have Limited, which reminds me of like Unlimited Rulebook, and we have Nadeko Twister block game. Like, please. And I do love the constant Sangatsu references. Gotta like absolutely love the Sangatsu shoutouts. This is such an amazing series, and I'd love to see it mentioned and hinted at in every modern Shaft work now. Alright, handbrought joke number 2. Let's go over to that one because I don't get it. You'll have to explain this to me because I literally don't get it. I guess throwing her hands up would end up giving her being like her giving up being embarrassed about the handbra thing because there's so many now, subsequently revealing herself, right? Because the hand does not cover the boobs anymore, right? She's throwing up the hands in defeat, and as a result of that, they hang freely. I guess that's the metaphorical joke here. I don't know if there's a double layer to that joke, so explain it to me if there is. 2129. Oh yeah, that was that was one of the light novels. I don't know which one it is, but this is 100% one of the light novels. If you look at it, right there. Might be Bake. There, I see something that almost like a cat, but I also read Nade, so it could be Nadeko snake or something, because this is like the Meek Nadeko, so I guess it might be a Nadeko snake reference to like the original. But there's also 000, which I'm like, But yeah, I mean, I've seen, like, this looks familiar at the very least. First of all, what is this picture? That is so fucking amazing. Looking through the bookshelves and like having just this thing as a whole poster and with the shadows. So many layers, so many amazing things. Also, shout out to Ononoki and Nadeko becoming best friends right here. Being that before, but look at that transition. Look at that transition. Rev Nadeko into current Nadeko. It's so amazing. Look at that. Like, the one-to-one tracing transition, it's... I can't with this show. I could gush over it like... I could gush over it all fucking night. All fucking night. Also, this feels very Bakemonogatari here with the snake. How is like, right? How we should with the characters for Snake, and we actually heavy we're spinning it, and the red dress is back. The red dress is back. All right. I think that's it. We're through. We're done. We're finished. It's the end. Nada. Nothing anymore. We're done. Y'all are done. All y'all are done. Yeah, I said that 10 times. That was Monogatari Off-Season Monster Season Episode 5. And I once again talked way too much and way too long, and I do hope that I can cut this, like, relatively chill. I don't know how much I actually will have to cut. Probably most of the pauses I have in between all of that shit. I don't want to keep you waiting for like 10 seconds until I've read one of my notes and been like, ah yeah, that was that. But if I don't do that, we will have the same that we had that we regularly have right after the reaction, where I just speed through and say what comes to my mind, which is not always something, right? Sometimes it's better to just sit down and be like, okay, let's think about this and let's see what comes to mind and let's observe and all of that. And you need a little bit more time for that. And that's why I take the time in between recording the reaction and the subsequent, like, small, quote unquote, it's not small, but small discussion afterwards. I take my time to actually 20, 30 minutes or something, maybe even more, while I'm eating, to actually look through this and to take screenshots and look at stuff that I find very interesting, because in my opinion, Monogatari is one of the best series out there, and it is worth actually looking into these shots. Most of the other series, right, most of other anime, you will see some cool shots here and there, nice stuff, but at some point you're exhausting yourself when you're talking. In the case of Monogatari, I feel like I could be talking for 4 hours and still discover new stuff that I could be talking about. That being said, I do hope you enjoy these long discussions, and I do hope you join in next week again for Monogatari. If you do want to do that, leave me a like, and if you're not already subscribed, subscribe to the channel to get updated whenever I upload the new Monogatari. And I hope I'll be seeing you next time.